This is an interesting pedal. This is the N5 Plus from Sinvertek. Look at it, lots of knobs, lots of switches. It is designed to be used in front of a very clean amplifier, so I guess you could consider it a preamp pedal or a distortion pedal, whichever phrase you like to use, but I'm just gonna chuck this in front of a really clean amp and have a play around with it and see what kind of sounds this thing is best at. As you can see, lots of knobs and switches, so as I tweak the knobs and the switches, I'll explain what they do and what they don't do in the video. Let's do it. Let's get into it. Here's the clean sound. I'm using one of the parallel modes on my Custom 24 at the moment. I will be changing pickups throughout this video. Let's have a listen to the way this sounds. And let's hear the pedal where I've got it. As you can see, the volume control is just below noon. There is a little bit of gain. I've basically got everything else in the middle, and I'll talk through where I've set these different switches, but we're starting on the vintage mode. So the top switch all the way up, that's the one that kind of has the largest effect on the tone overall. That's pretty inoffensive. I'm going to start with the resonance and the presence controls, because on a real amplifier, that's kind of where I would start. I'd kind of get those tuned right so there's not way too much low end and so the high end isn't taking my face off. So I'm going to do that, then I'll just kind of leave them set. Think of those as like your master controls on this pedal, and then we'll play with the EQ and the gain structure. That's pretty cool. I actually like the resonance all the way up there. It's just adding a little bit of girth to the overall tone, and I have the presence just below noon. So we'll work with those. If I dial in a couple of different tones, we can go back and reference those. But first, let's just hear the difference between the three main gain modes. I said this particular switch up at the top kind of has the largest impact on the tone. Let's actually hear that. That's kind of cool. Let's stay on the vintage mode and wind the gain up a little bit. Let's hear it at about noon. Really nice. I like when you can actually do that on an overdrive or distortion pedal and it doesn't just get kind of like super blown out. The range is very usable there. You can hear when I push the treble to the extreme position, it got a little bit harsh. And let's just play around with the bass control a little bit, then we'll try all the switches. I'm kind of digging that. Let's have a listen to what these switches do. The first switch is essentially a low end control, and I kind of think of this as, you know, changing between a really tight low end and a kind of blown out low end. At the moment, I have it in the up position. Let's hear it in the middle, which I believe is the tight position. That's kind of cool. And then down, I'm guessing the H stands for heavy. That's kind of cool. Like I said, the whole thing at the moment kind of has a tweedy character. There is another switch here, which is kind of like your high-end control. You can think of this as like your pick attack control. I'm going to move over to the bridge humbucker, which at the moment sounds like this. Another way to think about these controls are like kind of different bright caps, which are going to give you a little bit more gain and a little bit more pick attack. I kind of like that up position with this. It's still, you know, got the overall tweedy thing going on. We will hear the other modes in a second. And then we've got our mid-range control, which just changes the mid-range frequency. Essentially, it's like a fat control. Kind of getting that like Fender amp cranked all the way up and about to explode thing going on. There's also this really clever switch here, which if you flick it up, basically controls a saturation style switch. And if you flick it down, there is this, it's called tone intensity. I don't know what that means. I suspect that might be a typo, like tone intensity, maybe. I don't know, maybe I just don't understand. Let's hear it up and let's hear the other one. So you flick this switch up to change the saturation type and you switch it down to control the intensity. That almost kind of sounds like a fuzz on this mode. That's kind of cool. And then intensity. It's kind of changing the feel of the low end there. All right, let's go to the modern mode. So because of the nature of this pedal, it's really kind of like a set and forget pedal. It is, after all, a preamp. So I'm just going to kind of set everything back to the middle and I'll fool around dialing in this modern mode now. There we go, that's kind of more like it. So I've got that tight mode on for the low end, which really makes a difference when you start adding in some gain. So to me, this pedal kind of does two things well. Like I said, the kind of tweedy falling apart kind of sound where you wouldn't use the tight mode, and then more of a modern style crunch where you do want to use that tight mode and that intensity switch down. So this is kind of cool. There's so much gain going on here with this particular sound. Let's just, we got to explore the range of the gain control though, right? So for that kind of thing, I guess if you want more of the Marshally thing, you're going to want the mid switch a little bit higher, and you're going to want to play around with those bright caps. We need to hear the ultra mode now, and I'm just going to assume that this is great for lead stuff. It's just kind of got this real mean character about it. If I pull the treble control and the presence control down, it does get a lot smoother. But if you push them and you really kind of push the gain, you get this really kind of fuzzy, just character kind of tone. You guys know that I love character tones. So I kind of like it in that kind of application. It's not, I mean, there's a bit of hiss in there, but it's nowhere near as noisy as something like an actual fuzz or a treble booster. But yeah, there's nasty tones in there, and a lot of the times when I use a pedal, the distortion, I'm kind of more interested in those character tones, like how spitty and nasty and disgusting can it get, because that's the type of pedal I'm actually going to want to record with. But as you heard at the start, it kind of does a pretty good Fendery, low gain, Tweedy style sound as well. And I suspect this is something that you could run into the effects return of your amp and just use it as a standalone preamp. I know that's not the way it's designed, but you could definitely do that. Just to round things out, I'm gonna grab my PRS and drop C, and let's see if we can get some real chugga chugga out of this thing. So just a reminder, here's the clean sound. This has some pretty cool doom tones in there as well, if you're into that kind of thing, which I didn't really expect out of this. Alrighty, there you go. That is the Sinvertek N5 Plus. It's kind of like the Mesa Mark series of preamp pedals. There are so many switches and knobs and so many different kind of shades of tones that you really need to play around with it and dial it in for your amp and your guitar to get the most out of it. But when you do, it's a whole lot of fun. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. I will see you next time.